how do children affect a relationship, whether they're in your life or not in your life?
Having kids is what I've always wanted in my life.
Whether you're thinking about it, you've dreamed about them, or you're just yearning for them.
Right.
How is this all going back to your relationship?
We're not perfect people,
By any means.
but by trusting in God, we learned what it takes to build a friendship,
A relationship.
and marriage that has stood the test of time.
With a keeping it real style, we're going to talk to you about everything
That
we've been through,
are going through,
and have overcome. All by learning how to lean on God and each other.
in order to help you learn how to love by faith.
I'm looking so forward to this. I love this topic. Having kids is what I've always wanted in my life. And so being able to talk about it, it just makes me feel so good.
It reminds me of Hamilton,
Okay.
the musical.
Yeah.
Where Hamilton's really sad because he lost his son. And then the two guys come and they're like, can we be done with the sad stuff now? And then they get right back into the play, and it feels like that. I feel like all month long in July,
Oh, yeah.
we just
That's a good
talked
analogy.
about like bad thing after bad thing after bad thing. And so many people have responded and said that it was so good, and they
So
could
grateful for
that
that.
they could resonate with that they could relate to that. It opened up conversations in their marriage and in their
Yes.
relationship, and that is what we want.
Right.
That's what we want. But we don't want to end this season on a sour, bad note.
Right.
We want to end it on a good note, right?
I was thinking about this yesterday.
What?
How, like, it's so fitting because when you're going through a hard season,
Yeah.
when your seasons are tough, it can't be tough forever.
Can't be tough forever.
At some point, you got to come out of the valley.
Yeah. There's
At
always
some point, you're going to start climbing again.
Yeah.
And
every season has a beginning and end.
this, Lord, please. I'm grateful for everything you've taught us, but man, help us. Like, let's just get on the. Let's start climbing next.
It's
to
not
the
as
next
if
glory.
this next thing that we're going to talk about is easy. It's
No,
this
it's
is
not.
the hardest job of my life.
Yes, definitely.
This is probably going to be the last topic that we talk about in season 1
Let's go.
of Love by Faith.
The end of the Foundation series.
Why? Because your girl needs a rest, and this guy over here needs a rest.
Bro.
We've been doing this consistently, and we're so proud. I'm so proud of you, Kyle. You came out of the podcast world. You just showed up and spoke your heart, and you were so transparent, and guys need to hear that, and wives need to hear that. And I just want to say you did great. First season, we're doing
Glad
good.
to hear. I mean, you're so experienced with talking in the mic and being on camera and putting it all together. And so, I'm not to say it's intimidating, but it's like, I always feel the pressure to show up.
There's definitely a standard, yes.
Because Selina's has you have so much experience with it that
Thank you.
when I show up, I'm like, yo, I got to do this.
No,
I
you're
got to have
doing
the
great.
story.
You're
And
doing
I feel so comfortable now with all them,
Yeah.
with this,
And-
with how real we were able to get in the last couple weeks.
Yes.
And I'm grateful for everyone's patience, everyone being there with us, and all the support we've got.
Yes. Thank you so much.
It's
And
been awesome, fam.
I think ending on this topic is a really great way for you to shine and like pour everything that you've learned and have come up, in skill set, and you could just pour it all out, because as you said, I remember when I think I was married to you at this time, but your mother said
Oh yeah, I know what
that
you're gonna say. What you're gonna say.
You were bred to be a dad. You were bred to be a father. And the only image that could come in my head when she kept saying that was like, well, like a stallion, like homie was in a pen. Like, what does this mean? Like, he was bred to be a father. And we always knew going in that we were going to have children. And some of you guys out there, when you guys have your, relationship premarital talks, you guys might have this conversation. Children are so important when you decide to get together, whether or not you're going to have children, what your thoughts on it are, when to have the children. And so we wanted to end this season 1 by talking about kids, whether you have them, whether you don't and you're thinking about it, it's always going to be a topic of discussion
Yeah.
every time you get into a serious relationship. So why not share a little bit of our experience and end this on a high note?
Right. Amen.
Okay. And we're going to be very clear and concise and to the point because our children are going to wake up in about 20 minutes.
Right.
So we don't have a whole lot of time because them ninjas are going to come down and start singing in the mic and doing all types of crazy stuff. So, Kyle.
Go ahead. Sorry, I was thinking of an icebreaker.
Okay, what's the
'Cause
icebreaker?
You talked about the kids coming down, and this is something I don't understand.
Okay.
Maybe it's just me being ignorant to whatever, but a lot of people I see in like TikTok and the social media world, when the kids come to whatever, be on camera, or if it's a kid thing,
Mm-hmm.
they'll blur their kid out or
Yeah.
they'll put a little sticker over their face.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Because they don't want people taking their photos and doing evil things with them.
Okay.
They don't want their kids being exposed or exploited because there are some sick people in this online world. There are sick people
What,
in the
like
real world.
just Photoshop the kid over something?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I have heard stories, and this is just a mom being a mom. I have heard stories where there are people who will save the photos and just have them on their phone because they have an infatuation with children.
Like my mom when she used to
No, not like old ladies. Okay, no offense to your
Okay,
mom,
no,
but
just-
like grown men who have an obsession with small children.
E-
Like you have to be very safe in these internet streets because anyone can take your photo and do anything with it.
I guess I get that.
So
Yeah.
it's for the children's safety. I know a lot of the times
Well,
when I was going on lives a lot, I used to show my children. I used to, this is what I do, and I'm going to be like type of a vlogger, and this is my life, and this
Yeah.
is why I'm in
Yeah.
and out all the time. This is the explanation. But the Lord really put it on my heart to be like, don't show your children.
Hmm.
They don't need to see your children. They
Yeah.
can see you because you're choosing to be there.
right.
Your children don't have that choice. They're not asking to be on camera. They're not agreeing to be a part of your content.
Right.
They're just being
good.
children. And so
Yeah.
I really wanted to set that boundary and that barrier and put that there. And, obviously children's safety, how you raise your children, the morals, the values, these are all topics that we want to touch on
Definitely.
sometime this month.
Mm.
But I think a great way to really kickstart the kids' conversation is how do children affect a relationship?
Oh my gosh. So
Because I don't want this to become like a parenting podcast.
right, we're not parenting.
We're not going to be like,
topic.
these
We're
are
talking about
parenting tips.
love
Like
and
we're taking
relationships.
it back to the relationship.
That's right.
Like how are these kids,
right.
whether they're in your life or not in your life, whether you're thinking about it, you've dreamed about them, or you're just yearning for them.
Right.
How is this all going back to your relationship?
So thinking about how you grew up.
Yeah.
When you're growing up, were you daydreaming about being married one day? So I'm talking like, when you're a young kid getting
Oh yeah,
into-
I grew up in the princess era. The very first movie I saw in a theater was The Little Mermaid.
perfect.
Yeah.
You're like setting me up for what I want to talk.
Perfect. Okay.
In those movies,
Yeah.
none of them have kids.
Let me think about it.
Belle,
You got Chip.
Mulan.
You got Chip.
That's not a princess kid. That's a kid of the lady in the kitchen. Because his
Mm,
mom was Miss Potts.
okay. Let me keep thinking.
None of the princesses had kids. Because none of them fall in love and get married till the end of the movie.
Okay. Fair.
Did you picture chasing kids around and changing diapers when you were picturing your dream marriage?
To a certain extent, because if we're going to go there, young girls
Yeah.
are conditioned to play house
Okay.
with babies,
Okay.
where you change the baby and you feed the baby and you put the baby to bed to the point where there are dolls out there that will cry,
Sure. Jubilee has one.
just cry in the middle of the night. We're like, turn that
Oh,
thing
no.
off.
Yeah. Thankfully, there's a switch on those.
But yes, I do feel like that was part of the dream.
Got it. When I was 12,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Just a kid living his life, being a kid.
Yes.
Then at 11,
Yes.
my mom tells me, 11 years old, my mom tells me I'm going to have a brother or sister. And it's Mom and dad were married. It was just them. Like, it wasn't like a new mom, new dad kind of thing. It wasn't a step sibling situation. So my parents, I have a biological brother who's 12 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So
Shout out to Gabe.
he's a great brother. Instantly, I'm thrust into what it's like to have a baby at 12.
Right.
So you talk about teen moms, and my parents were really good at like keeping me involved, letting me be part of it, explaining.
Watch this child while we go away.
No, they never did that. They literally never did that at all.
Okay.
I'm grateful for that. I never thought about that till right now. Like, like little, maybe like they're going into the corner store to get groceries or whatever, and I would sit with him when I was like 13, 14.
I was definitely watching my younger brother.
But not like we're going on a date, you sit here with him. Like, they were super good about that.
That's great.
And even like if they were getting a babysitter for him, like by then he's 3, I'm 15. They just went and put him at the babysitter and let me do whatever.
That's very nice.
It's all right. At 15, I was getting into trouble.
Well,
but I'm saying they were showing me all this stuff of how to take care of a baby, and they're showing me how to be parents together. And so when they say that it was bred, it's just through their choices, the way my life was. I was exposed to taking care of a small child at a young age, and it totally changed how and who I was. It added so much more like compassion, and it created a desire to see that and live that.
Yeah.
And so it's our relationship with our kids and our marriage and having kids, and how I am as a teammate to you wouldn't be this way without that exposure.
Do you feel like it was in that season that's when you're like, yes, I want to be a dad? I can't wait to be a dad.
I think this is a good spot to take a break, to drink some coffee.
Hey everybody, this is Kyle. Thank you so much for your support and listening to this podcast. This year, as we go through our foundation series, we wanted to offer you a new handout. Hot off the presses, it's called the Relationship Resource Toolkit. This handout is a list compiled by Selina and me, of course, as a useful tool. What we think are great devotionals, books, podcasts, and Bible readings. These are tools you and your partner can use to help learn and grow and understand more about your relationship. Take your relationship to the next level with this toolkit. These were all things that have helped us along the way, and now we have a one-stop shop for you. Use the link in the description to download the free Relationship Resource Toolkit and keep choosing to love by faith.
Yeah, definitely created excitement in me to have this for myself.
Okay.
But at the same time, again, very thankfully, it taught me to wait for the right time, wait for the right person, and to know that it was super special to have kids, right? And there were people around us who couldn't have kids, even as a young kid. I remember this, and just being like, all right, this is very special. This is very precious. Like, this is a gift from God. So my parents raised me pretty spiritually aware, you know? And so it was really taught to me that this is a special thing for marriage, a special thing for two people to be able to have kids. And so grew up cherishing that.
It's beautiful.
It's yeah, man.
I grew up with a lot of kids around. My mother has 4 other sisters, and so there was a lot of kids, a lot of cousins. We all went to grandma's house. Right. And I also had a younger sibling that was 10 years younger. I have an older brother and then a younger brother. And so I was also raising a child at a very young age. I babysat at a very young age, started Babysitter's Club because that's the books you read, you know. So I was very in the thick of what it felt like to have a small child around you all the time. Get it. Totally get it.
Right.
But however, as a woman, when I went into college and I got into my 20s, I didn't want kids. I knew eventually one day somewhere in the far distance they would come, but I didn't care for the kids. I didn't want to be a mom. I think at this point of my life, going from the Little Mermaid era to being a college student. My career was focused. What?
I was trying to think of a funny way to describe the single college girl era.
It's probably Sex in the City era is what I
But
would
those
dub
are like,
it.
I'm sorry, those are like old ladies though in that.
They are, but back then that's all we had. Like that was what you saw as independent woman doing her life, running around, even though she was broke all the time and kept meeting a bunch of duds. But it is what it is. It was a lifestyle. We were for it.
I hear that's what it's like.
I hear that's what it's like, drinking Cosmos with older women. Yes. We wanted that life.
Oh,
I
Lord.
wanted that life. I can only speak for myself, and that's what I was aiming for. And so I was very focused on my independence, because when you get to a certain age as a woman, you are taught independence. You're taught go for your dreams, go break the glass ceiling,
Right.
go live your life, go travel, go do what you want to do. And so my mind was very set on that. Let me establish myself first before I have children, because I know once I have children, I will have to settle down. Right? That's what they teach you. That's
Do you
what I
feel
heard.
settled down?
I feel razzled, dazzled, and all over the place.
Frazzled?
Frazzled, razzled, dazzled, and frazzled. All in the same time, in the same breath, all the time. Yes. And so it wasn't really until I got into church and, I started taking God seriously. I think I was like 26 when I started going to our church, and I found you per se. I found other people, and I started to change my lifestyle. I stopped going to the bars. I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking. I stopped doing all these things. And it wasn't until we were in a youth group, because we were the youth group pastors, right? So we were in this group, and the youth pastor told the children, like, search your heart. What are the desires of your heart? And out of nowhere, I felt, I want to be a mom more than anything in the whole world. And I was like, what just happened to me? Like, where did this thought come from? And it just came from searching in the depths of my heart. I didn't really have a good childhood growing up. It was pretty, my parents were divorced. There was a lot of things that happened. And I always knew from that season of my life, I always wanted to be a mom to give my kids a childhood that I did not get to have.
Okay.
And so I always knew that part, that healing work that I wanted to do to make like a full circle moment for me. Like, I went through this, but I can change somebody else's life in my future so that they never have to go through this. I always knew that was a desire of my heart. And so God pulled it out. And then shortly after, you came around. Right. And when I first met you, when I walked into the church for the first time and I saw you, I thought to myself, like, I bet he's a baby daddy. I think it was the facial hair, to be honest. Like, you just looked really good looking. And I'm like, there's no way he didn't get knocked up at some point. Like, that was my mindset at the time. Clearly I'm a little more mature now, but that's what I thought. I thought you must have at least 2 or 3 children.
You judge this book by the cover.
I judged that book by, Puerto Rican daddy. Yeah. Heck yeah, you look like a Puerto Rican daddy. Of course.
That's funny.
Zaddy maybe, but
watch it.
So when we got engaged, and when I got let go, because I got laid off the same week we got engaged. That was when I really started to search my heart again. And that's when God was like, I want you to build your own thing so that you could prepare for being that mom that you said you wanted to be. And that's the whole reason I started the business. That's the whole reason I started this business.
So you could work from home forever.
Was so I could be with my kids.
Got it.
So I could be in the razzled frazzled state. I didn't know it was going to be razzled frazzled back then when I was all poetic with my desires. But I knew that that's what I wanted. And you were very on board with that. And that was huge, because you got to be careful when you're out there, guys. When you're picking your person, you got to be careful with, do they want kids? When do they want kids? How many kids? Because some people are delusional and they think, 6 kids are going to be great. And you're like, no, it's not. And they're like, I mean, it is for some people. It works for some. Hey, if you're out there and you got 6, bless
God
you.
bless you.
Bless
yes.
you. Bless your heart.
Yes. Absolutely.
Bless your quivers and your arrows and in your case. Okay. You got to know these things because kids are no joke and kids can do a lot for you personally.
True. So true.
They will affect your life in ways that you did not expect. They will bring healing. They might bring triggers.
Yeah.
They will test you in every way, shape, and form
Help,
of
help.
every season that they are around.
One of the things I underestimated was how much we would learn about each other and grow
Yeah.
by having to work together to have a kid.
Mm.
You know, because like I was telling the story about growing up as a 12-year-old and getting a new baby in our house.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really see what my parents were doing to, you know,
Yes.
to take care of each other.
Yes.
And so that was something that was, even though I knew about how to change a diaper and how to whatever take care of a baby
Yeah.
in the basic provide for their needs side, I didn't have that experience of taking care of a mom who just had a baby.
Yeah.
And what it's like to be the husband to that and really make sure she has what she needs and she's thinking about herself and she's getting an hour to go take a nap without being woken up or an hour with the kid out of the house. You know what I mean? I didn't have to think about that until the first time we had kids.
I thought you were so delusional when we finally got pregnant because you were so excited. You were like, I know how to change diapers. I know how to change a baby. I had a brother. He was 12 years old. And I'm like, hey, Kyle, did you have a brother? Was he 12 years younger? Like, that's how much you like boasted in this fact that you knew.
I'm so proud of that.
You were so ready to be a dad and to take care of the babies. But some of the things that I didn't realize was all of the changes that we go through as people.
Yeah.
You know, once you become a parent, your identity changes completely.
Sure. You absolutely got a whole new identity.
With women and with the hormone, like everything that happens in your body when you have a natural baby. I'm not saying the adoption or the foster, though those are things to consider as well.
Yeah.
But your body changes, your hormones change, your emotions change, your mental change. You completely lose the person that you used to be. It's just like getting married. You know, you used to be this one type of person and now you're a husband or a wife and your identity has changed because now you're a new form and you're part of you're part of a half. You're now a half of something and you're part of a new creation that God has created. And so the same thing happens when you are fruitful and you multiply in that way. Which we'll talk about in other episodes for people who are struggling with multiplying in this way.
That's so deep.
You know, and so I didn't know that. I wasn't ready for that part. You know, I was ready for the TV show when they have the pregnancy and then they bounce right back, or the movie characters, the movie stars who bounce right back. Your girl is still trying to bounce. I feel like my basketball, if I were a basketball, I might be a little deflated because I never bounced back. I just kind of like stumbled and like rolled on the floor. You know what I mean? Like I never got the bounce. Working on it.
That one basketball in gym class that just doesn't quite bounce.
It doesn't just bounce. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of women are there, but we have this expectation again from society that you can do it all.
Right.
And you can be all and everything's going to be fine. And it will be, but there's definitely one heck of a learning curve in yourself and in this new person and in this person you created. And it's a lot.
Man, I hope you guys can feel the vibes in this talk. This is something we love. We love our kids. We love raising family. I love hearing you enjoying this topic. It just creates such a spark in me to want to just keep going. Like, let's just record 5 episodes right now. We could just talk about all of it.
I love batch recording.
We could just talk about all of it, but
do the makeup one time.
I want to go back to where you talked about your first impression of me.
Yeah.
When you saw me and you were like, oh, he's probably got a bunch of kids. He's a baby daddy. While it was a negative reading of the book, right? Mm-hmm. Judging the book by a cover that, oh, this dude's couldn't have made it this far in life without knocking somebody up.
I mean, that was my norm. That was the social norm.
I appreciate that from day one you saw me as like potential father material.
Yeah.
I was like, All right.
I was
Like,
impressed. I was like, look at him taking his kids to church. I didn't even know if you had
not that at 25 I wanted to give off dad vibes, but that, it was a good a fair I'll accept that as a first impression from the lady I married.
There you go.
It's awesome.
There is one thing that we kind of are not talking about that we are definitely intentionally going to be talking about
Sure.
moving forward, and that is each other.
Yeah.
This whole conversation has been about kids, 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 kids. In your season of children, whenever it comes, however it comes, one of the things that we were not expecting that we had to learn about was taking care of each other
Mm-hmm.
and staying connected and letting our marriage be first before our children. And that is a very sensitive and very fragile way to handle your relationships as your family continues to get bigger and as you continue to multiply, because it is so easy to get lost and to not see your person as a person, not as a father figure, not as just me as being a mom, but like to see you as my husband, and
Selina.
for you to see me as your wife. And how to get back into that and how to stay connected, because kids will test you and try you and wear you out.
Leave you as a super deflated ball.
Super deflated.
Not just the kind of deflated.
Just it stayed in the closet, right? And you have to know how to have the energy still and have the desire still to turn back to your person, to love your person, to serve your person.
So while we talk about the foundation series and we're talking about kids and the marriage, we're going to be talking more about the marriage than the kids.
Absolutely.
We're talking about more about the love than the kids.
Absolutely.
Because having kids is great, but if you lose the fire, you lose the passion, you lose the love, you're going to screw it all up. You know what I mean? I don't want to speak that, but if you can't take care of this, it's going to be, I'm for the listeners, you can't see, I'm making a hand gesture to take care of the relationship. If you can't take care of the relationship, you're not going to, it'll be a bad tree, makes a bad fruit.
If you're creating idols in your children, if you're putting your kids first before everything else, before your spouse, before your person, then it leads to a fall. Absolutely.
Man, and I think, I'm so grateful for the way that these series have progressed.
Yeah.
I think coming out of the hard seasons and into talking about this is great because they tie together so much because we had to work together so much over the past few weeks and just throughout our life experiences. It's gonna be great. We got a lot of great family love share discussions to have.
Absolutely.
Over the next few weeks in this podcast.
Absolutely. So just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a quick snapshot, I know we're going to be talking about how to keep things spicy.
Right.
I know we're going to be talking about how to handle, postpartum, how to handle pregnancy, things like that, early baby stages. We're going to talk about how to bring values, shared values, how to instill values, how to raise your children on the same page.
Yeah.
Because the way you grew up is different from how I grew up. And
definitely.
Your traumas are different from my traumas, and your excitements are different from my excitements, and basically just how to keep with the balance, I would say.
And for our non-parent listeners, I just want to nail this home is we're going to be talking about love and relationships more than we're talking about being parents.
Absolutely.
And so even though the lens is having a child, if you're not, if you can't have kids or if you don't have kids, you still have other children in your life.
Yes.
You're still going to have big projects that you do, you might be big head of ministry, and that could be like a child. And just how you frame that thought will help. So don't tune out if you're not a physical parent, a biological parent. You know what I'm saying?
There are other ways to be fruitful and multiply.
That's right.
And I like what you said. Those things can become your babies, can become your kids, because it's so true. Like, how many of us have a business or they have something and it's like, that's my baby. And the way you're having that parental passion is going to affect your relationship in some way or another.
Yep.
And so I love that you brought that up. And we are going to be focusing on how to love by faith with kids. We hope you tune into that. We thank you for tuning in today. We thank you guys so much for all of your support. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, right?
Yep.
If you're listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, we would love for you guys to give us a 5-star review or rating. That would help us get to more couples like you, to teach them how to love by faith and to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly,
The real.
And of course, now in this season, the kids.
I hear them up. We got to go.
Definitely hear them up. Definitely hear them getting into stuff. Last night, Jubilee got into sugar. We don't want that this early in the morning. So we're going to head out. And we love you guys. So thank you guys again. And we will see you next week.
Let me pray.
Yes.
Lord, thank you for this podcast. Thank you for this place to minister and share your love with others. And I just pray for my wife as she edits this, that it'll be plenty of content for her to cut through, and that it'll be nice and smooth. And Lord, I just pray for those listeners out there that they would find nuggets in here that they could take and use and apply and talk about with their spouse or their partner, their boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. We just give you glory. We pray that our words are your words, your love comes through us, and we just give you the glory for all of it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. We'll see you guys next week.
All right.
All right.
That was a fun episode.
Yeah?
I had fun talking.
Can we skip to the good part?
Yeah, man. Talking about all that not good part for all those weeks.
Yeah, man. This will be fun. Fun episode.
Are we going to get Love by Faith mug?
Are
we that cool yet?
I can be cool anytime I want. I'm going to get a mug. Be on the lookout for the Love by Faith mugs, y'all.